St. Luke, the doctor and bishop of Crimea, a little pocket icon of him, begins to exude fragrance, incense, and myrrh lately. Now, I have to tell you of one of the miracles that St. Luke, the doctor and bishop of Crimea, had done to my cleaning lady. Oh, this was like 20 years ago, okay? And I had just read one of his books of his life. He was a doctor in Crimea, which was, part of Russia. He was married. He had 4 children. His wife was a nurse, and they fell in love in the hospital where he worked. He was a very handsome young man. He was very talented in art, but he became a doctor and a surgeon, specialist in eye surgery and infections. So he married the nurse, and they had 4 children. Unfortunately, she died young from tuberculosis. There was another nurse in the hospital without children whose husband had died. So he found himself with 4 small children he had to raise, which was difficult because he was a surgeon. He was sent all over the place. And he opened up the Holy Bible by chance, as our church tells us to do, asking the Lord what he should do. And the passage that fell to him was from the Old Testament, saying, "And the widow shall become a mother of children, and she will be happy." So he was thinking to himself, should I ask this nurse to become the mother of my children? Not that they had any type of, relations with each other. So he asked her to live in his home with his children, raising his children. And as he was traveling, they sent him all over Russia, even Siberia. And he was sending her his money back to support his children. I think 1 or 2 of them became doctors as well. But I want to tell you about I said that because I want to tell you that everyday people can become saints. You who are listening to me now, you can become saints, okay? The most saints were just ordinary people. Some of them were the biggest sinners in the world. Now, about this miracle that happened in my house about 20 years ago to my cleaning lady. She was from Donetsk, Donbass of Ukraine, by the way. Now, she was very good at cleaning, and she was with us for many years. And I remember I used to tell her, she used to go and clean the windows on the second floor, where we had the bedrooms. She would, sort of cantilever between the inside and outside of the frame of the window, holding on to one of the window panes. They were sliding windows. And I said to her, don't ever do that again. I don't want you to fall out of the window and kill yourself. She says, don't worry, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm careful. I said, no, don't do that. I'm just having a panic attack just looking at you. I never did that myself, so how could she do that? So later on, about a month or so later, she called me to tell me that she would not be able to come for like 40 days. And because of the fact that she fell from a ladder, from the ladder onto the floor with her head. And she had a concussion. And after she came back, we usually had breakfast together. She used to come at 8:30. Then we used to go to the church. She used to come every Tuesday and Friday. We used to go to the church, have Holy Communion, and then come back and have our breakfast together. And she was telling me, during my concussion, when I was in bed, this man came to me and said, don't worry, I'm going to make you all right. And I asked him, who are you? And he said, my name is Luke. That's what he said to her. My name is Luke. And she said to me, as I'm saying this, chills are running down my arms. My hair's standing on end. Oh, I've read in the Holy Bible when we talk about God and your hair is standing on end, that means that an angel of God is in front of you, but you can't see him. Your soul sees and senses him. So she said, but the funny thing with him is that his eyes were not straight. One eye was looking this way, the other eye was looking that way. I said, oh my God. And as she was saying this to me, on the kitchen counter in the dining area of the kitchen counter, I had my little oil candle and icons of saints, like 100 icons there. And I had the icon of St. Luke, the Bishop of Crimea, with his eyes looking one this way, one that way. And I took it and I showed it to her. I said, what do you think of this icon with this picture? And it's the picture coming up. And she said, that's him. That's him. That's a man that appeared to me. I said, this is not a man. This is a saint. This is St. Luke the Doctor, the Bishop of Crimea. So I said, come, we're going up to the monastery of Sagmata. It's about an hour's drive north of Athens. They have a little church dedicated to him. And the abbot of that monastery wrote a book. He translated it from Russian to Greek. And we've seen tremendous amounts of miracles from St. Luke, the Doctor and Bishop of Crimea. This is him here. His eyes are not too bad here, but there are other pictures where his eyes are really bad. It's because of the 4 or 5 times that he was imprisoned in the Siberian concentration camps. He was exiled because he always, when he started his surgeries, he would do a cross with the iodine on the body of the person that he had to operate on, and he always had a picture of the Holy Mother holding the baby Jesus in her arms in the operating room. And the Russians, of course, didn't want him to do that because, of course, Russia outlawed religion. At that time, he passed away around 1963, I think. June 11 is his feast day. And so we went up to the holy monastery of Sagmata, and we told the abbot there of this miracle, and he took us to the little church of Saint Luke, the Doctor and Bishop of Crimea. So that is a real miracle that I'm a witness to. Many other miracles, of course, that many other people are witness to here in Greece, let alone, Russia and Ukraine. But let's go to, of Christian Orthodoxy. Let's go now to this article. We talk about the Cretan Sea and the Turkish-Libyan agreement, but the Thracian Sea in northern Aegea will be tested the same and worse. That they have a tremendous amount of oil and natural gas and oil reserves there, south of Salonika. For the time being, the docking of the American forces in Alexandroupoli, they have forces there, they have a base there. The U.S. has a base there. They also have an aircraft carrier in Crete. We know that ExxonMobil, which is an American company, of course, will be extracting those energy reserves from Crete and also from northern Greece, in the northern Aegean. So for the time being, that's why they're here, to protect their interests, the interests of American company. The American forces in Alexandroupoli, en route to Romania due to the war in Ukraine, may be holding the Turk back, but the neighbors mind, Turkey that is always on the energy fields between northern Greece and Mount Athos, where you have the 20 male monasteries. The region of Ladoxera that springs up is typical in the underwater treasures there of the natural gas and oil. And while we were discussing this with friends on the ship that would take us to the island of Thasos, against the background of a crystal clear horizon after the rain that had a visual view of Samothrace beyond Imbros and Tenedos, the air began to smell of fragrance incense, as if a priest was offering incense to God, and incensing us, as the priests do in the church. We looked to see if anyone wore such a fragrance. From here, from there, we found the source of the fragrance. A friend had in his handbag, in his bag, a small image that gave off this otherworldly fragrance. It was a little pocket icon of St. Luke, the Doctor, the Bishop of Crimea. What was this great saint? What did he want to tell us? He wanted to join our conversation in some way. What war news did he bring us from the front of the Ukrainian Black Sea and Crimea, where he is its archbishop and where he is treasured? He's still there today. Now, once in a while, everything around us smells of musk. Our hands that embrace this image are closed. Our discussion ended with many question marks. This is by Dr. Konstantin Varvakas. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Of course, the image that I made here, this is my image. I made an image of St. Luke, the Bishop of Crimea. It's in our little church of St. Sozon of our little shanty town in Capota. It says Aios Lukas, St. Luke, the Doctor and Bishop of Crimea. So don't forget that, yes, our Savior is alive and his saints are alive that will help us even though we don't ask him for help. Just like my cleaning lady didn't know of him and asked him for help, but he helped her anyway. And he didn't say he was a doctor or a bishop. He just said, "My name is Luke." Very humble. And he just did his work. He says, and she did recover totally. It's amazing. She then finally went back to Ukraine, and then a couple of years later, she came back. I asked her, "Why did you come back, even though you had a very good job taking care of a very rich family's children in Yalta?" She says, "Because this is where I found this is where I had my conversion. This is where I found God. This is where I had my faith began." So she's still here. What can I tell you? Everyone has their own paths to Jesus, and Jesus fulfills his promise to us. There's no one that loves us more in this world than he does, and his saints love us as well, and they protect us and help us in such a way, you see. So please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. We know that England has a lot of saints. All the European countries have a lot of saints. Even Canada and the United States have a lot of Christian Orthodox saints. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.